Have you ever looked up at the stars and wondered about the secrets of the universe? About space, time, and the very fabric of reality? One man asked those same questions and completely changed our answers. His name was Albert Einstein, and his story is more than just equations. It's a tale of relentless curiosity, bold imagination, and a mind that dared to see the world differently. So, who was the man behind the iconic hair and the famous ERMC2? Let's travel back to Ulm, Germany, in 1879. This is where our story begins. From a young age, Albert was different. He was a quiet, thoughtful child who started speaking later than most. Some even worried about his development. But in his quietness, a universe of thought was brewing. A pivotal moment came when his father showed him a simple pocket compass. The 5-year-old was mesmerized. What invisible force made the needle always point north? This simple question sparked a lifelong fascination with the unseen forces that govern our world. As a student, Einstein wasn't the bad-at-math rebel that myths often portray. He was brilliant, but he clashed with the rigid, rote-learning style of his schools. He found it stifling to his creativity. He preferred to learn on his own, devouring books on physics and philosophy, and conducting thought experiments, imagining scenarios in his mind to explore the laws of physics. One of his most famous thought experiments, which he pondered as a teenager, was, what would happen if you could ride alongside a beam of light? Would you see a stationary electromagnetic wave? This question would stick with him for years, planting the seeds for his future revolutions. After graduating from the Zurich Polytechnic, finding a teaching job was tough. For a while, it seemed the world had no place for this unconventional thinker. He eventually landed a job as a patent clerk in Bern, Switzerland. This seemingly mundane job turned out to be a blessing in disguise. The work was simple enough that it left his mind free to wander, to explore the grand questions of the cosmos during his off hours. The patent office became his sanctuary, the place where he would secretly reshape our understanding of reality. And then came 1905. Historians call it Einstein's Annus Mirabilis, or Miracle Year. At just 26 years old, while still a patent clerk, he published 4 groundbreaking papers that would forever alter the course of physics. It's an intellectual feat that has arguably never been matched. First, he proved the existence of atoms and molecules by explaining Brownian motion, the random jiggling of particles suspended in a fluid. It was a huge step in confirming the atomic theory. Second, he introduced the photoelectric effect, proposing that light isn't just a wave, but also a stream of tiny energy packets, or quanta, which we now call photons. This radical idea laid the foundation for quantum mechanics, and would eventually win him the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921. Third, he unveiled his special theory of relativity. This is where his teenage thought experiment about chasing a light beam paid off. He proposed 2 revolutionary ideas. The laws of physics are the same for everyone in uniform motion, and the speed of light is constant, no matter who is measuring it. The consequences were mind-bending. Time and space are not absolute, but relative. Time can slow down, and lengths can contract, depending on your speed. This was a complete departure from centuries of Newtonian physics, and as a follow-up to this theory, he published his 4th paper, a short addendum containing what is now the world's most famous equation, ERMC2. This elegant formula revealed a fundamental truth about the universe. Energy and mass are two sides of the same coin. A tiny amount of mass can be converted into an immense amount of energy. This principle would unlock the power of the atom, for better and for worse. In just 1 year, this unknown patent clerk had toppled old certainties and erected new pillars of modern physics. The scientific world was stunned. Einstein was no longer an obscure clerk. He was a rising star. He soon left the patent office for a series of prestigious academic positions across Europe, finally settling in Berlin. But his greatest work was yet to come. Special relativity dealt with constant speed, but what about acceleration? What about gravity? For the next decade, Einstein wrestled with this problem. He called it the happiest thought of his life, when he realized that a person in freefall doesn't feel their own weight. He imagined someone falling from a roof. For that person, gravity would seem to disappear. This led to his principle of equivalence. Gravity and acceleration are indistinguishable. With this key insight, he spent years working through incredibly complex mathematics, finally publishing his general theory of relativity in 1915. The theory was breathtaking. Gravity, he argued, is not a force pulling objects together as Newton had said. Instead, gravity is a consequence of the curvature of space-time. Massive objects like the sun literally warp the fabric of space and time around them, and planets like Earth are simply following these curves. It's like placing a bowling ball on a trampoline. It creates a dip, and a marble rolled nearby will circle around it. This was a radical, almost poetic new vision of the cosmos. But was it true? In 1919, a solar eclipse provided the perfect test. According to Einstein's theory, the sun's gravity should bend the light from distant stars as it passes by. An expedition led by Sir Arthur Eddington photographed the stars near the sun during the eclipse. The results were clear. The starlight was bent, exactly as Einstein had predicted. When the news broke, Einstein became an overnight global celebrity. He wasn't just a scientist anymore. He was a symbol of human genius. But Einstein's life wasn't all about science. He was a passionate violinist, finding solace and inspiration in the music of Mozart and Bach. He was also a man of deep conviction. As a Jewish intellectual in Germany during the rise of the Nazi Party, he became a vocal critic of the regime. In 1933, he renounced his German citizenship and emigrated to the United States, taking a position at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey, where he would remain for the rest of his life. His fame brought with it a heavy burden. In 1939, fearing that Nazi Germany was developing an atomic bomb, he was persuaded to sign a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, urging the U.S. to begin its own nuclear research. This led to the Manhattan Project and the creation of the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Einstein would later call signing that letter the one great mistake of his life. He was a dedicated pacifist and spent his later years advocating for nuclear disarmament and world government. Horrified by the destructive power his own work had helped unleash, in his final decades, Einstein embarked on a lonely quest. He searched for a unified field theory, a single theory of everything that could unite the forces of gravity and electromagnetism into one elegant set of equations. He never found it. Many of his colleagues thought he was wasting his time, focusing on classical physics while the new, strange world of quantum mechanics was taking over. But he never gave up, working on his equations until the very end. On April 18, 1955, Albert Einstein passed away at the age of 76. He left behind a legacy that is almost immeasurable. he didn't just give us new formulas. He gave us a new universe. A universe where time can stretch and shrink, where space can bend and warp, where matter is frozen energy. He taught us that the most powerful tool we have is our imagination, and that asking simple, childlike questions can lead to the most profound revelations. Albert Einstein remains an icon of intellect and curiosity. He reminds us that the universe is full of wonder, and that with a little bit of imagination we can all reach for the stars. His work continues to inspire scientists, thinkers, and dreamers to this day, encouraging us all to never stop questioning. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the mind of a true genius. If you found this story inspiring, please give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment with your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more stories about the greatest minds in history. See you in the next one.